Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Sumaya AI student at Rehan AI Teachers Training Institute Batch 21. Today I'm having a very interesting discussion with ChatGPT on a topic that directly impacts our daily lives, but it's often overlooked. Exploring the connection between diet and mental well-being. In today's fast-paced world, we often focus on what we eat for physical health, to stay fit, energetic, or maintain weight. But rarely do we stop and think about how our food choices affect our mind. Our brain is an organ that needs proper nutrition just like the rest of our body. The food we eat can influence our mood, focus, stress levels, and even conditions like anxiety and depression. For example, diets high in processed foods and sugar may negatively affect mental health, while balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables and healthy fats can support emotional well-being. There is a growing research in the field of nutritional psychology that highlights how gut health, vitamins and minerals, and overall diet patterns are deeply connected to how we feel and think. So today we'll explore this fascinating connection with ChatGPT and understand how small changes in diet can lead big improvements in our mental well-being. ChatGPT, I have questions about connection between diet and mental health.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting topic, and there's a growing body of research on it. What specifically would you like to dive into? Like how certain foods affect mood, or maybe how overall nutrition impacts anxiety or depression?
What is the connection between both diet and mental health?
Yeah, so the connection is really fascinating. Basically, what you eat can have a pretty big impact on your brain chemistry and mood. For example, a diet rich in things like omega 3s, fiber, and antioxidants, often found in fruits, veggies, and fish, can help reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. On the flip side, diets high in processed foods or sugar can sometimes worsen mental health. So there's definitely a link.
How does the brain depend on nutrients?
Yeah, that's a great question. The brain is super metabolically active. It's always using a lot of energy. Nutrients like omega 3 fatty acids, B vitamins, and even things like magnesium help with neurotransmitter production, brain cell communication, and protecting against inflammation. So, when your diet is lacking in these nutrients, it can slow down brain function and even affect how well you regulate your emotions.
Can food really affect our mood?
Absolutely, yeah. For example, low levels of certain vitamins like B12 or vitamin D have been linked to depressive symptoms. On the other hand, a balanced diet with lots of nutrients can really boost brain resilience, helping you handle stress and stay more emotionally balanced.
What foods are best for improving mental well-being?
Yeah, so some of the top ones include things like fatty fish, like salmon or mackerel, because of those omega 3s, leafy greens, whole grains, nuts, and berries. Fermented foods like yogurt or kimchi are great for gut health, which also ties into mental well being. So, variety of those foods is a great start.
Are there foods that negatively impact mental health?
Yeah, definitely. Diets high in refined sugars, processed foods, and unhealthy fats can be linked to inflammation and even increased risk of depression or anxiety. So, things like sugary drinks, fast food, or highly processed snacks, those are good to limit.
What role does sugar play in mental health?
Yeah, so sugar can have a pretty big impact. When we consume a lot of sugar, it can cause blood sugar spikes and crashes, which can affect our energy levels and mood. Plus, some research suggests that chronic high sugar intake might increase inflammation in the brain, which can contribute to things like anxiety or depression. So, balance is really key.
How does gut health relate to mental well-being?
Yeah, that's a really cool link. Our gut and brain are connected through what's called the gut brain axis. Basically, a healthy gut, especially with a good balance of probiotics, can produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, which affects mood. So, when your gut is happy and balanced, it really helps support mental well being.
Can hydration affect our mental state?
Oh, absolutely. Even mild dehydration can affect your concentration, energy levels, and mood. Our brain is mostly water, so staying hydrated really helps with focus focus and emotional balance. So, good water intake is key.
What vitamins are important for mental health?
Yeah, there are a few really important ones. B vitamins, especially B12 and folate, are crucial for mood regulation. Vitamin D is also super important. It's often called the sunshine vitamin and is linked to mental mood. Omega 3s, again, are key, and magnesium also plays a role in relaxation and reducing anxiety.
Can diet help reduce anxiety and stress?
Yeah, it can. A balanced diet with plenty of whole foods, rich in nutrients, can really support your body's stress response. Things like complex carbs, protein, and those omega 3s can help regulate your mood and keep anxiety in check. So, diet is definitely a piece of the puzzle.
How does caffeine affect mental health?
Yeah, so caffeine is kind of a double edged sword. In moderate amounts, it can boost alertness and improve focus, which can be really helpful for some people. But if you have too much, it can cause jitteriness, disrupt sleep, and sometimes increase anxiety. So, it really depends on the person and the amount.
What's the link between diet and depression?
Yeah, so there's a pretty strong link. Diets high in processed foods, sugar, and low in nutrients have been associated with higher risks of depression. On the other hand, a diet full of whole foods like fruits, veggies, and healthy fats can actually lower inflammation and support brain health, reducing the risk of depression. So, what you eat really does play a role.
Can healthy eating improve focus and productivity?
Yeah, definitely. When you eat balanced meals full of protein, complex carbs, and healthy fats, your blood sugar stays stable, which keeps your energy up and prevents those crashes. Plus, nutrients like omega 3s and B vitamins support brain function, so you'll feel sharper and more productive throughout the day.
What is mindful eating and how does it help mentally?
Yeah, so mindful eating is all about paying full attention to the eating process, like noticing the flavors, textures, and how you feel as you eat. It helps you tune into your hunger and fullness cues, which can prevent overeating. Plus, it reduces stress around food, which can help keep your mood and mental state balanced.
Okay, how does skipping meals affect mental well-being?
Yeah, so skipping meals can actually have a pretty big impact. It can cause blood sugar dips, which might lead to fatigue, irritability, and even worsen anxiety or depression for some people. So, regular balanced meals are really important for steady mood and energy.
Can children's diet affect their behavior and learning?
Oh, absolutely. Children's brains are still developing, and what they eat provides the building blocks for focus, energy, and mood. Diets rich in nutrients like iron, omega 3s, and protein can improve attention and reduce hyperactivity. So, nutrition is really foundational for their learning and behavior.
How can someone start improving their diet for mental health?
Yeah, a great way to start is by adding more whole foods like fruits, veggies, whole grains, and healthy proteins into your daily habits. You don't have to overhaul everything at once, just start small, like swapping sugary snacks for nuts or fruit, or staying hydrated. And consistency is key.
Are supplements necessary for mental well-being?
They can be helpful, especially if you're deficient in certain nutrients like vitamin D or B12. But ideally, it's best to get your nutrients from food first. If you're considering supplements, it's a good idea to talk to a doctor or dietitian to figure out what's best for you.
Good to know the balance between both the food and the supplements.
Yeah, exactly. Food should always be the foundation since it gives you a wide range of nutrients and other benefits. But supplements can be a good backup if there are gaps. So, a balanced approach, focusing on a nutrient dense diet first, is really the way to go.
How does emotional eating affect mental health?
Yeah, emotional eating can be a bit of a cycle. Often it provides short term comfort, but then it can lead to guilt or stress afterward, which can worsen things like anxiety or depression. So, being aware of those patterns and finding other coping strategies like talking, journaling, or just taking a walk can really help break that cycle.
That's something many people can relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people turn to food when they're stressed or overwhelmed. And just having that awareness so you're not hard on yourself, but you start to notice the pattern can really be the first step toward healthier habits.
ChatGPT, what is your final advice for maintaining both physical and mental health through diet?
Yeah, my final advice would be to focus on a balanced whole foods approach. Lots of variety, plenty of nutrients, and regular mindful eating. And remember, it's about consistency, not perfection. Small, steady changes add up, and they really help support both your body and mind.
That's a perfect takeaway.
You're welcome. I'm really glad we talked about this. It's such an important connection. If you ever want to revisit it or dive into other aspects, I'm here for that too.
Thank you so much, ChatGPT, for sharing such insightful knowledge with us.
Of course. I'm really glad we could Glad it was helpful. If you ever have more questions or just want to explore other topics, I'm here. Take care.
Thank you. So, this discussion truly highlights that what we eat is not just fuel for our body, but also nourishment for our mind. To everyone listening, small mindful changes in your daily diet can lead to a healthier, happier, and more balanced life. So let's start becoming more aware of food choices and their impact on our mental well-being. This is Sumaya signing off.